Hello YouTubers, my name is Seb and this is Seb's Supercar. This is my beautiful Ferrari 360 Modena. In the next few videos I'm going to be covering a common problem with Ferraris, which is sticky buttons. I'll show you a cost-effective way to address them, so stay tuned and watch all these videos. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be taking care of a problem that a lot of these older Ferraris have, which is sticky buttons. So what you'll find is that the finish on different surfaces, plastic surfaces within the car, including your mirror setting dials, your ashtray lid, your vents especially, and your door latches and buttons will start to become sticky and actually leave the residue on your fingers. It's really gross and annoying. It can be very costly to do it professionally, so I'm going to show you how we do it. I'm going to use two methods to clean these parts. For the dash vents, the buttons in the dash, including the power windows, the climate control, the ashtray cover, the rear view mirror controls, and all of my buttons, I'm going to use nothing but this makeup remover wipe that you can buy at Walmart. Inexpensive, but they won't damage the parts. Very important. And then for the door latches, locks, the buckets, and the pull on the passenger, I'm going to use a combination of those wipes and isopropyl alcohol, but only those parts. They're metal. What will happen is I'm going to lose my decals for the door locks, but it's worth it. To remove the dash vents, we've created a tool. So it's just a coat hanger, and I've cut it in half. I wrap the ends around screwdrivers because I'm going to need a little bit of extra leverage, and I've just bent tips on each side. So the dash vents are only about 5 inches long or deep. They're cylindrical, and we're going to insert the coat hanger tools on either side and just grab the inside lip of that cylindrical piece and then tug out. So it'll be just like this. I'll start in going vertical about 4 or 5 inches until I feel, when I turn to the right, I can feel that I've caught the edge. And I'll do the same for the other side. Okay, so now I've got it. And it's just a matter of tugging very hard. Now, I've got to warn you that it takes quite a bit of effort to pull these out. So be very careful. If you can get an extra set of hands to hold the dash and make sure that you don't damage any of the leather, that would be a good idea. I'm going to do that, so I'm going to stop the video now, but this is the process. Now you pull, and it's just a press fit, but it's a very tight press fit. Now we're going to pull. And it's out just like that. Now that we've got our dash vent out, what I recommend you do is get yourself an old rag so that you don't harm your tablecloth, and put on some latex gloves, because this stuff is going to get all over your hands while you try to clean it. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to use Neutrogena all-in-one makeup remover. So we're using this instead of isopropyl alcohol or rubbing alcohol because it's less harmful to the plastic. And get the non-scented versions if you can find them. And this is really inexpensive. I found them for about $2.50 at Walmart. Okay, so you just take one of the wipes and just start rubbing gently. Don't be too aggressive, take your time. Okay, now that I've got all my dash vents clean, they just push right back in. It's just a pressure fit. But the best way to do this is actually to start with the vent closest to the steering wheel. You can actually see through each of the holes where it needs to fit into a socket near the back, the actual vent coming from the HVAC. So I've already done the first one. There is a gear that goes straight down, and there's a little round circular cutout at the top. That's basically your top. You want the vent to look straight. So I'm just gonna feed it in that way. I'm looking through this hole to make sure it lines up. And that's it. The next sticky items we're going to take care of on the Ferrari 360 are on the doors. Specifically on the door handle pull from the passenger side and the door lock mechanism, handle, release handle, and buckets. First we're going to remove the passenger door pull, and it's just 3 4mm Allen screws. Now that I've got those 3 longer Allen screws out, the door handle pull is actually secured behind the door panel. So we have to remove the whole door panel. And in order to do that, we're gonna have to take out these 3mm Allen screws, and this whole trim piece will come off. We're gonna have to pop off this leather armrest. So that just lifts off and you slide it back. And then we're gonna need to remove the door latch, door locks, disconnect the cabling from them. And there's a few screws which I'll video us doing. There's also 2 Allen screws just underneath that trim piece on the door. And there's 2 more Allen screws just at the top underneath the weather strip. Now we're going to gently remove this trim piece. We'll just put it aside. Now we need to take off the window weather strip. And in order to do that, there are these tabs, and you just need to get underneath. There's a little bit of glue that's holding this on, but I have a trim puller, but you can use a butter knife. Just be careful not to scratch the paint. That just pops off like that. These 2 are done. And then there's one more here. So there's a little bit of glue behind. You have to like gently pull. This piece will come out, and then it'll just slide right out. And that'll free up the door panel to come out. Next, we have to take the tweeter housing and disconnect the tweeter off, because the door panel will not slide off unless you remove it. Now, the way to remove this is you want to take your trim puller, or if you've got a butter knife, that'll do. Just be very careful. You want to feel behind here. All right, now you want to lift, because you don't want to break these 2 tabs. Once you remove the tweeter housing, you'll have to pull the connector out of its little hole, and then you may have to pull back some of the tape. But there's a connector. You'll have to use your thumb to release the tweeter. There you go. Now underneath the door panel, there's just 1 Phillips screw located right here to remove. Next, we'll have to take off the door latch. And the way we do that is by removing the arm cover. Okay, so you lift from the back, slide forward. There's a little tongue there that you have to get past. Next, we're going to disconnect the cables and latches for the door handle and door lock mechanism. Okay, now the door latch is connected via this wire here. So you need to back off this 1 nut, which I've already done using my open-ended wrench, and then just spin it off with your thumb onto the wire. There's a little slit here. Sorry if you can't see it. There's a little slit, and the wire will just, once I pull it back, will just disconnect. And that's going to give us the plane we need to disconnect the door latch. Next, to disconnect the locking mechanism, so that's this arm here, we have to back off this nut over here. Underneath the door latch here, now that you've got some play because you've loosened up the cable, there is a Phillips screw right underneath the door latch that you need to get to. Right there. Now that we remove that screw, we've got to take this bucket off. And it's just a little bit of maneuvering and haggling. Okay, the first thing you have to do is back this one nut off, and that's a 7mm open-ended wrench. Then, using 2 wrenches, you need to just back off this one little nut on the arm mechanism and then spin this one connector right off freely. It was quite a bit of work. Now the door handle is free to come out. Next, move your door latch up so you've got full visibility. There's a little plastic clip which is holding the cable on. So you just want to, with your thumb, just pop it off that plastic clip, and then the cable will just come right out. Next, we'll have to disconnect our electronic lock connector and then our mid-range speaker, and our door panel is now free. All right, now what we need to do is we've just got to remove this one 8mm hex nut to release the passenger door pull. I just gotta gently remove it, and there we go. So now for the driver's side door panel and door latches, door locks, and door handle bucket. It's the same process, but in fact, it's a little bit more straightforward because we don't have the door pull mechanism. So just follow the same steps that we've done on the other side. Okay, the only variation on the driver's side is you have to take out this little trim inside the door handle bucket, and there's going to be a bolt right there that you have to undo, and then it'll slip through the door latch mechanism. Now that we've got all of the door handles and latch buckets apart, we're indoors. Before we start working on them, we're going to take them completely apart. So I'm going to remove these 2 metal brackets from the door pull, passenger door pull, and there's just 2 nuts that will remove these. We're going to take apart our door latches and locks completely. There's a couple of spring clips, and disassemble them right down to just the bare parts. And then we're going to start cleaning everything. For these parts only, I'm going to use a combination of the Neutrogena makeup remover wipes and isopropyl alcohol. This is 70% strength. So this is for the door pull hardware and the door latches and the door buckets. Just those parts we'll use the alcohol. We'll use it on nothing else because it's too harmful. You damage your switches and you lose some of those iconography. Most of the work is going to be done by using these wipes. We've finished cleaning all of our parts. Now we've reassembled all of our lock mechanism, including the springs and pins. Just big tip, take some photos before you disassemble it, so that way you can just figure out more easily how the springs and everything go back in. I actually like the finish after it's been cleaned. It's kind of a matte black. Some people may opt to spray paint it with a trim black finish. I'm not going to do that. I think this actually matches the rest of the trim in the interior better. And now it's just a matter of putting everything back in the car in reverse order. After we have it all assembled, before we put that armrest cover back on, that's when we'll make final adjustments to make sure the locks and the latches all work properly. All right, so we've assembled everything. We've connected our linkages to our door release, our power locks. The last thing that we've done is we've left the armrest compartment open, so it gives you access to the linkages for adjustments. We've been opening and closing the doors testing over and over again, both from the outside and inside the car. The door latches and the door locks, everything's working fine. Last thing to do is just put the armrest back in place. And we're done. Some people don't mind the sleek black look of the door latches and the air vents without the decals on them, but I want to restore it as close to original as possible. And I was able to find the decals at one of the professional refinishers that do this work. They were willing to sell them to me, and we're going to install them. So this is saving us quite a bit of money compared to sending all the parts out. We're just putting the last of our decals on our air vent. This would have been easier to do before while they were out, but it took a little while for me to order the parts, the stickers themselves. Well, I'm quite happy with the way this turned out. The vents feel amazing. The decals look factory. The door latches have a beautiful finish on them. This is terrific. I'm so happy and pleased with the way this has turned out. Please stay tuned and watch my next video on sticky buttons. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to my channel so you can see other content about my experience with this beautiful Ferrari 360 Modena. Thanks for watching.